The art of gaslighting. Gaslighting is a subtle yet insidious form of dismissal. It's a method of psychological manipulation in which one person makes another doubt their reality, memory, or judgment through denial, blame shifting, or the downplaying of a situation. And Dead by Daylight has a big gaslighting problem. Look, it's no secret that DBD easily has one of the most frustrating communities to deal with in all of gaming. Trying to discuss balance with a DBD player is like trying to discuss quantum physics with a fucking newborn. Behavior can add a new perk to the game that immediately ends the match, explodes their opponent's PC, sets their dog on fire, and doxes them. And the player base will still tell you, womp womp skill issue, you're garbage co-parter. Today I'm going to be discussing DBD's gaslighting problem and how discussions of balance and issues within the game are nearly impossible to have these days, and why I believe it's single-handedly destroying the very balance of the game itself. Let me start by showing you guys a singular tweet that perfectly encapsulates Dead by Daylight discourse in a nutshell. So DBD's newest update just dropped, and it was released with so many game-breaking bugs and issues that the game was left essentially unplayable. And a big problem and point of contention is that most of these bugs and other issues negatively impacted killers far more than they did survivors, such as infinite charges on items with the Streetwise bug, infinite vaults on windows with the no chase bug, a myriad of debilitating killer bugs, and so on. For killers, if just one of these bugs was present in your match, it will likely negatively impact the outcome of your entire match. And this kind of created this lopsided feeling where people who mostly play killer felt the game was totally unplayable, and people who mostly play survivor thought that everyone that just plays killer is overreacting. This leads me to this exchange here, which took place before Behavior fixed any of the bugs the chapter released with, where the OP is saying they're taking a break from the game due to the insane amount of bugs. And so this person responds saying, I know there are some bugs, but the game is not unplayable at all. Y'all are overreacting. And it has over 4,000 likes. So then this person here asks, have you touched killer? And they respond saying, actually, I'm a survivor main, so I don't know about any bugs on the killer side. But just wait, it gets worse. This person here quotes them saying some bugs, then links them a thread listing the ass load of bugs the new update released with. To which they respond saying, my bad, I didn't know about these, lol.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Do y'all remember the good old days where if you didn't know what you were talking about, the natural course of action was to just shut the fuck up? Imagine publicly dismissing people and telling them they're overreacting to an issue that you've made zero effort to even inform yourself on in the first place. This is the textbook definition of gaslighting and just talking out of your ass. This practice of being totally dismissive about valid issues and immediately downplaying and deflecting criticism and telling people that they're just overreacting about real problems is a common one within the community. And I want you to pay close attention here because you are about to notice a pattern. Let's talk about a brand new perk just added with the new chapter called Conviction, which is easily one of the strongest survivor perks in the whole entire game right now. After being left on the ground for just a few seconds, survivors can just pick themselves up and run away for 30 seconds until they automatically go back down. But when synergized with other perks like Boon, Exponential, Soul Guard, and Unbreakable, you can pick yourself up in about 3 seconds and have endurance for 8 seconds. And then once you go back down, you can just pick yourself right back up and do it again and again and again. Let's see it in action.
Ooh, okay. Well, I was expecting to go down here, but... yeah? That's perfect! That's literally perfect! By the time he vaults, I'm already up! Yeah, I'm up! That's so stupid!
The fact that a perk like this even made it past the PTB is genuinely dumbfounding, as anybody who's played killer for even a singular nanosecond would know that this perk essentially cannot be countered in many scenarios by most killers, especially against a team that is even the slightest bit coordinated. Now let's take a look at a tweet rightfully complaining about this totally broken perk and the replies they got responding to it. The tweet reads, down a survivor, leave for 6 seconds to put pressure on other survivors, down survivor just gets up and leaves. Utterly insane that Conviction wasn't given more downsides or activation requirements. And here's the video.
Wait, what? Bro. That's actually insane.
Now let's see how the community responded to this clearly unbalanced new perk. I'm sure the feedback will be very thoughtful and constructive. Don't slug, dumbass! Just get better. You can counter it by picking up. Stop crying.
Or you could just pick them up, I don't know.
Try not slugging, gamer.
Why not just pick up?
Don't slug, then it's pretty easy to understand. Also, kinda what you get for playing an AI killer.
Just pick up.
Conviction is not a problem. Just don't leave survivors on the ground for too long.
Maybe, oh, I don't know, don't slug?
Maybe don't slug. Picking them up ruins the perk. Just don't slug. 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 So yeah, the gaslighting here is seriously unbelievable, and it's also news to me that leaving somebody on the ground for just 6 seconds now constitutes as slugging. I swear, it's almost as if the people saying this stuff have never actually played a single match of Killer in their lives, yet feel they have some sort of intellectual authority in discussions of balance whilst totally lacking the perspective of one whole half of the game. Because anybody with just a couple of matches played on Killer would know that just pick up and just don't slug are not proper solutions to the situations this perk presents. In a game where pallet saves, flashlights, flashbangs, and perks like background play, last stand, and head-on exist, you can't just instantly pick up every survivor you down all the time, because there's a very high likelihood that they'll just get saved by a teammate. And even if you spend a few seconds of your time looking for anybody nearby to prevent the potential save, the person you just downed can just get up and run away with endurance. This is a guaranteed lose-lose situation no matter which way you cut it, and ultimately, it's just the result of poor game design by a team of people who do not understand their own game at all. Now let's talk about behavior and their handling of the recently bugged perk Streetwise, which has been exploding on social media recently. Streetwise is a survivor perk that was recently bugged, enabling players to have infinite charges on their items, granting them the ability to complete generators twice as fast as usual with infinite toolbox charges. And instead of kill switching the perk like they've done with many other perks, characters, items, maps, and cosmetics in the past, they for some reason outright refused to address it and were instead saying it wasn't game breaking enough to fix at the moment. A member of the behavior team then came out and said they aren't kill switching it because there are worse bugs in the game right now, so why bother addressing this one? They then said that if they kill switch Streetwise, they'd actually have to do their jobs and kill switch about 8 other broken things that also fit into Streetwise's bug category. Because, you know, God forbid they have to fix the broken product they're selling you. I mean, bro, saying this is like saying, well, if I clean this pile of shit I took on the floor, then I'd have to clean up all the other piles of shit I took on the floor too. When the real question is, why is there shit on the floor in the first place? Now, despite the community absolutely losing their shit across different social media platforms by this point, instead of actually attempting to defuse the outrage, they instead took to Discord to announce that community sentiment and community feedback are not kill switch criteria, and claimed that they only kill switch things that make the game unplayable, which is just a huge slap to the face of their own player base, and quite possibly the worst thing they could have said in this situation. It didn't help that this claim was also a blatant lie, considering they've kill switched many things in the past that didn't break the game, such as a sweater cosmetic that silenced a survivor's grunting noises while injured, Houndmaster for a bug that made her 150% faster, Nemesis for a bug he had would play with your food, Skull Merchant for a bug she had with one of her add-ons to perform actions faster, and so on. They claimed the kill switch was a nuclear option and not a fix, and that barely anybody was even using it, which was a lie, nor is it the worst bug they even have at the moment. Therefore, we're actually all just overreacting and blowing this whole thing out of proportion. Thanks for clearing everything up, behavior. And so after all the outrage and backlash finally reached its absolute boiling point, they then backpedaled on everything they said previously, apologized, and kill switched not just Streetwise, but a couple of other bug perks as well. And all it took was the entire community melting down and protesting against them online. Wow, what a receptive company. I think they deserve the Labor of Love award after this one. Look, all jokes aside, I don't know about you, but reading these messages and seeing how poorly the devs treated this whole situation explains everything. These might be some of the most tone-deaf, patronizing, and unprofessional responses to community feedback I have ever seen from a gaming company. This smug indifference to their own incompetence is truly amazing to watch unfold, and the gaslighting is next level. With this mentality, it really is no wonder how so many horribly designed things have made it into the game despite the clear flaws and imbalances in their design. If they can't even detect a problem with items having infinite charges and don't consider that as being problematic enough to kill switch, how could they possibly detect the problems in things like the new clown changes, new perks like Conviction and Last Stand, or the severity of and sheer number of bugs within their own game? Companies cultivate culture. And I think a culture of gaslighting and an attitude of dismissiveness is currently plaguing the DBD community, and it's one that's been cultivated by behavior themselves. And when you refuse to hear out fellow players or the consumers of your own product, you start to lose touch with the community as a whole and isolate yourself in an echo chamber. I think it's clear now more than ever that behavior views their player base as a revenue source rather than a community whose feedback should shape development priorities. And as long as their art department is shitting out new reskin cosmetics every couple of weeks and new licensed characters are being brought to the game with every chapter, the actual health and functionality of the game itself can be put on the back burner, because it's not really about prioritizing player experience, it's about making money. Look guys, I know times may be tough right now, but in the wise words of Matthew Cote, the game director of Dead by Daylight himself,
change it up. Maybe you're just tired, you know, or play something else for a week. Try Civilization or something, just for a refreshing change. Balance is, I shouldn't be saying that.